Welcome to Java. Thank you all very kindly for joining me. It's November 21st, 2024, and it is Thursday. So it's been quite an interesting week on multiple fronts. We've got a lot of things moving in the background, and then also things that can very much affect going into this weekend. But let's start first with, of course, markets this morning. We're looking at the risk. Now, this is actually pulled back a slight bit. It was 293 yesterday. So now we're sitting at 291.7. And what has drawn back for this is mostly the 10-year yield has dropped quite a bit. We're still seeing relative strength in the dollar, and that is what's keeping this risk factor high. Now we've got the fear greed meter showing still in neutral territory. It hasn't edged back down towards fear, and this is mostly on option volume. So we had a couple of things happen with the stocks as far as earnings with Nvidia was huge. Now, the interesting part was that their earnings beat. They had good earnings, but the stock weakened anyway. So some interesting motion looking forward there, that they're expecting a little bit of a rocky road ahead and not so clear as they've had. We are also getting some earnings from Target that will give us a view into the consumer. Now, on the flip side, we have Walmart reporting they've had good earnings, but the interesting part of that report was that it was mostly off of upper income levels now shopping at Walmart as they typically would shop more expensive stores. So on the surface, looks good that they're making good revenue. However, if you look at the source and what is actually going on, we're going to see some issues coming forward with those that are more well off as well. So with this, we've got a buy anyway mentality. And indeed, this morning, that seems as if it would be the play. Now we've got the NASDAQ is slightly lower, really flat, but it's on the rise so far this morning. And the volatility index is dropping. So with that currently, and I'm doing this a bit later than the other days so that I could have more things in here for you. We're looking at futures are saying that there's a bit of green here. So looking at least positive toward the open. So as I was saying, with the 10-year yield pull back a bit, the relative strength of the dollar still at 106.72. Now this is really something to watch here. The dollar in relative strength has been pushed higher through the other currencies getting weaker. Now we had Japan just unveiled basically a quantitative easing program, so that suppressed the yen, floating the dollar strength again. We've got cryptocurrency Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs. Now, with this, I would just like to say a word that the constant number that keeps getting floated around is 100,000. So what would be expected in this case? It's had quite the rise. And yes, I believe it will go further eventually. However, there could be quite a pullback as there's a decent amount of profit taking once it hits probably more around 99,000 and prior to the 100,000 mark. People don't wait until it hits the mark, just as a warning for that one. With it will take a lot of the others, such as Ethereum and the other altcoins. So cautious of that. With this right now, today though, still rocketing up, still got a bit to go. So taking MicroStrategy as well as the miners. We've got Mara, Riot, and a few of the others that will be playing along with this. Now we'll be watching in the larger markets. Most people are purchasing ETFs. So looking for the Bitcoin ETFs. Now, as I said, I don't intend on selling any of mine. I haven't for some time, and it's in a good spot now. So I plan on holding for longer than now for certain. So with this, and it's not financial advice, please do your own research on this. I just want you to take a look at that if you would. Stack a few sats if you're so inclined. Now with the calendar this morning, we're getting jobless claims in a moment. With this, I'd just like to say that we've got a few companies still reporting. Ford, namely, one of them. Now this is in Europe, so it's not going to show in the numbers in the United States, but they're cutting 4,000 jobs. And they're not the only ones. So we are watching a decline in the employment rate. And as we were speaking in our Discord session yesterday, that if they are speaking about and truly stick to, which I believe they will, cutting some of the United States government efficiency would cut some public sector jobs. Now, that would be good for the overall budget. However, that's more people in the jobless lines and putting pressure into that sector. So, something to keep in mind. We've also got a couple other reports coming out. Home sales, I'll speak about in a moment, and the Fed presidents, as always, in order to manage the market. However, they will calm them down, act as if they are babysitters for this action. They've also got the plunge protection team, so I expect not a lot of massive movement, but it could definitely change directions, so to speak. So now, aside from Walmart, we've got Target saying the shoppers are now waiting for their deals. And as I was saying, this is with Walmart talking about having gains with wealthy households. Target, I think they might be expecting good numbers because it shows that they're edging up marginally prior to the market open. However, you can't trust that. Normally, the first move proves to be wrong, typically more often than not. So with this, I want to speak a little bit more about housing. We've got mortgage demand in the United States is down. So by half over the same week in 2019. So saying that there isn't a post-election bounce in mortgage, but the rates also kind of fall. So we've got some other issues. Real estate is a regional, locationally tied, of course. So we've got Florida housing crisis escalating in 5 major cities as their sales plummet. So leading the top 2 of those is Fort Lauderdale and Miami, which I am very familiar with personally, and it is hitting in particular the condominium market. They've also got Tampa and St. Petersburg are on that list and edging out from there. So with this, we have been speaking about this here. It's not just housing prices or the market rates, but homeowners associations, which are also linked to increasing insurance rates. Now, this will spread. We've been speaking about this. The insurance will take a serious hit on this industry in the housing. And the important part to remember is that housing is the main element in what we call perceived wealth. And perceived wealth is what the consumer, which is the largest portion of the United States economy, how they feel about spending. Now, if they feel like their home is worth a tremendous amount, they feel confident to go out and spend money. But if they see that prices are in serious decline, they tend to tighten up, and that creates a bit of a spiral, if you will. So we'll watch that with the economy as well, not just jobs. Now with this, we've got the external factors of the war, of course, going on. Again, unless you're one of the people that hides underneath that rock we speak about, I'm sure you've heard about some of at least what is going on with Ukraine. Now, I have to be very careful about what I say here because they are still kind of a little bit tougher on this. Now, we've got them saying that Russia launched an ICBM for the first time. Now, what's significant about this was it was basically hollowed out because these are meant to carry nuclear payloads. So from Russia, basically a reminder saying what they are capable of, where they are capable of reaching, and that I think the initial ones that would be in line for this would probably be more Europe than the United States. But with this, we've got current administration still some issues. They're planning to write off over $4.7 billion in debt. Now, this is taxpayer provided loans. So this would be massively inflationary. You're going to see rising prices like you wouldn't believe if this goes through. So we'll see what happens with this. $4.7 billion. All of that was supposed to be repaid back. Not just this, but also what that would do to the possible rating of the United States credit debt. Because if they raise that, if they lower the rating, that would raise the rates that the United States pays toward its debt. So making it impossible, even more impossible, to pay off the debt in the long run. So we've also got the Pentagon is saying that they're going to send anti-personnel mines, quote unquote, soon. Now these are banned. These are what you think they are, landmines, and they are currently banned. So what really is going on here, aside from major distractions from what might be going on in the East as well? We're watching major currency wars in the East, and this is kind of papering over it, if you will. Now, this is Secretary Austin, Defense Secretary. Here's a clue here, saying that he regrets China's decision not to meet during Southeast Asian security talks. This sounds very quiet in the background, but it's a major deal. They are now snapping the United States, not making deals. And again, with this about these mines, that could be a serious issue, stated to all of the rest of the world that regardless of any treaties or any uh, equipment, whatever might be banned at this moment, doesn't matter because they can change their minds and play the bully on the road, so to speak. So with this, we've got the ICC, the International Crimes, issued an arrest warrant for the Israeli PM and also his first. So we'll see how all of this plays out. I think more we could watch something happening more toward the weekend after market close. Speak about this and keep more on it for tomorrow. I should be able to post video tomorrow. And I want to thank those of you that were in the Discord last night. As always, was fantastic. Even though I had some connection issues, I kind of thought that I would, but I'm happy that I was able to make it. And I've had a few of you asking about getting in there. I want to see if I can make a video that will make that easier for you to get you into there. I know it's quite complicated in that room at the moment, but I'll see what I can do for you. I may not be able to get that out until next week, but until I see you again, my friends, stay free.